right here in the studios of 1FM 98.9. And I'm your host for today's edition of Voices, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for tuning in, joining the program today. Let me apologize for the late start. We had an address by former Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Kennedy Simmons, and Mr. Carlton DuPont, who is an independent candidate contesting constituency number 6, will be joining the program today. Let me say for the record that Mr. DuPont, he wanted that piece from Mr. Simmons to be played during that time, and so now we will be starting the program shortly, and we await Mr. DuPont to have a conversation on his candidacy for the elections, and of course all things elections and campaigning here in St. Kitts and Nevis. The polls open tomorrow at 7 a.m. for the National Assembly elections here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and the polls close at 6. There is a lot of things happening today. The various political parties contesting the election, they are out in their numbers with their candidates and their associates, their supporters. They are selling their message. They are presenting themselves as the best option for St. Kitts and Nevis. But that is left to be seen on Saturday morning, and assuming that the results will be ready for Saturday morning. But the people of St. Kitts and Nevis will decide who they want to run the affairs of this country when they go to the polls tomorrow, Friday at 7, between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. to choose a new government. So we of course will be following that very closely. I also want to use this opportunity to encourage each and every one of you to tune into WinFM tomorrow at 7 p.m. That's Friday, 7 p.m. on our FM channel 98.9 and our social media handles, of course, Facebook and YouTube. We will be bringing you live coverage of the results. Of course, we will be tackling a number of topics and issues that relate to general elections here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We will be going as far as back as 2010, discussing results from 2010. Of course, you know, the 2010 election results, they were not impacted or affected by COVID or anything of that sort. Those elections are won by the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, so we will be comparing the results from 2010 to that of 2015, when there were some reported issues as it relates to voters coming in to vote, or nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis, coming in to vote, and of course the 2020 general elections, where we had the COVID-19 pandemic, and so basically it was just people on the ground who participated in the elections. So we will be looking at those 3 election cycles and, you know, comparing the results, seeing what took place then in 2010, what took place in 2015, and what took place in 2020. Of course, the results will be coming in live from the supervisor of elections, and we'll be bringing those updates to you live and direct right here on WinFM 98.9. So, extending that invitation now for you to join our panel tomorrow. A very diverse panel. We will also be touching different topics such as treating and bribery. We know that remains a hot button topic in the elections, as we do remember the case, and I think it was following the 2020 general elections. I think it was Dr. Drew who brought a case against the PAM candidate for number 8 at that time, Eugene Hamilton, as it relates to treating and bribery. We know this is a big topic, much talked about topic in general elections, not just across, well, here in St. Kitts and Nevis and across the Caribbean. We will be looking at the overseas vote, and we will be looking at other issues that impact voter participation and voter registration. This is Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. We'll take a short break to give a shout out to our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll continue the program right here today. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. Let's take this break and we'll be right back.
Feel the magic happening.
Campari.
Taste.
Something incredible happens when Campari is mixed just right. Like Campari and orange juice poured over ice. Taste it. Try it tonight. Bitter, sweeter, better. Campari. Must be 18 years and older. Drink responsibly.
Enjoy an elevated experience with your Flow Home Internet and mobile combined.
Giving you the best rate for great savings.
With 120 gigs of double data for anything.
And unlimited talk.
On 4 mobile lines.
Simply combine your Flow Home Internet and mobile for the best rate and value. Unlock double data and unlimited talk on 4 mobile lines to go with home internet speeds up to 35 megabits per second. Visit a Flow store to sign up today. Conditions apply.
All right, good morning and welcome back to Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. Again, let me apologize for the late start. We are supposed to be having Mr. Carlton Dupont here with us today. I have not seen him as yet, but we await his arrival. In the meantime, of course, I will be updating you on what you need to know for the elections tomorrow. Again, the polls open at 7 a.m. I know some people were questioning whether the polls open at 6 or 7, but the polls open at 7 a.m. And so I'll just be providing an update on what is happening tomorrow and what is expected of you as a voter. So I would hope at this point in time, people who initially said that they were not going to vote have made up their minds and have said, well, I'm going to participate in the process. Yeah, in the past, I may have been disappointed by the representatives that are there or disappointed by the party themselves. But I'm going to, cast a ballot this time. So the supervisor of elections, he provided an update on the polling stations and the candidates that were duly nominated to contest the elections. For those of you who reside in constituency number 1, these are the polling stations. So you will be voting at the Parish Center in East Bastia Square Street, the Media Center at Warner Park, the Tucker Clark Primary School, the Kim Collins Athletic Stadium, the Public Works Department, Wellington Road, the Police Training Complex, and the Hope Chapel Methodist Church on George Street. If you reside in constituency 2, you will be voting at the Wesley Methodist Church Hall in Seaton Street, Skellick and Central Street, the Job Ward Center at Dr. Lake Drive, Shadwell, St. Barnabas Anglican Church, Malone Avenue, the CFPC at Burden Street, and the former CPU building. If you are a registered voter in constituency 3, you will vote at the St. Johnston's Community Center, the Antioch Baptist Church Hall, Infirmary Road, Methodist Church School Room, Apostolic Faith Church, St. Johnston Avenue, Nema Building, and the Bronte Welsh Primary School. If you are registered in constituency 4, you will be voting at the Challengers Community Center, the Ebenezer Methodist Church School Room, Old Road, the Tyrrell Williams Primary School, the Grace Gospel Hall, Middle Island, and Halfway Tree Methodist Church. Constituency 5, you'll vote in New Sandy Point Recreation Ground, the Sandy Point Preschool, the former Zoelis Supermarket Station Street, Emmanuel Methodist Church Schoolroom, the Nazareth Gospel Hall in Fig Tree, and it says here a container in the gut, and the Magistrate Court Sandy Point New Police Complex. In Constituency 6, you will vote at the Newtown Ground Primary School, the St. Paul's Community Center, the St. Paul's Primary School, the Date Bay Police Station, the Parsons Community Center, and the Sadler's Primary School. In constituency number 7, that's the Tabernacle Community Center, the Edgar T. Morris Primary School, the Estridge Primary School, the Covenant Outreach Ministry Church, the Joshua Obadiah Williams Primary School, the Molyneux Health Center, Mount Carnell Community Center, and the Violet Petty Primary School. In constituency number 8, you'll be voting at the Keon Daycare Center, the Keon Church of God, the Redeemed Baptist Church, the Keon Primary, St. Peter's Community Center, St. Peter's Anglican Church Hall, the Connery Community Center, Connery Preschool, St. Peter's Primary School, and the Keys Community Center. On the island of Nevis, in constituency number 9, you'll vote at the Church of God of Prophecy in Cox, the Elizabeth Pemberton Primary School, the St. John's Primary School Annex, the Ivor Walters Primary School, the Cecily Brown Integrated School, the Education Building in Marion Heights, and the United Pentecostal Church in Marion Heights as well, the Albertha Payne Community Center in Bath Village, Methodist Church Hall in Charlestown, the Magistrate Court in Charlestown, the Charlestown Primary School, and the courthouse there on Prince William Street. If you are in Nevis 10, you'll vote at the New River Methodist Church, the Gingerland Preschool, Hanley's Road Community Center, Hard Times Building, and the Gingerland Secondary School. And according to the supervisor of elections, you will enter on the road basically to the back of the school there on the Hard Times Estate area. For those of you in Nevis 11, you will be voting at the Nevis Performing Arts Center, that is NEPAC, the Jessops Community Center, the Cotton Ground Community Center, the VOJN Primary School, the Trinity Methodist Church Hall, the Franklin Brown Community Center, the Brick Hill Church of God, and the Butlers Community Center. These are the polling stations that duly registered voters will cast their ballot in the National Assembly elections tomorrow. Remember, polls open at 7 a.m. You are expected to walk with your national identification card. I know some people have raised concerns as to whether they would be able to vote if they lost their voter's ID. You can still vote with a piece of government issued identification. So some of the tips, the voting checklist. The elections are tomorrow. Ensure that you have your ID card. It could be your driver's license. It could be your passport. It could be your social security card. It could be your national identification card, which is the voter's ID. And I also think you can vote with your birth certificate. You have to know your constituency and know where you're supposed to vote. And again, the time is 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. For those of you who are not aware, the duly nominated candidates are 26 on the island of St. Kitts and 8 on the island of Nevis. So we have 26 candidates on St. Kitts and 8 candidates on Nevis. This is also saying the different party symbols. So we have here for the Concerned Citizens Movement, the hammer, the Nevis Reformation Party, the bottle, the People's Labour Party, the saw, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, the hand, the Moral Restoration Movement, the spear, the People's Action Movement, the hat, the United Lyomegan Party, the tree, and Independent Carlton DuPont, the clock. We'll open the phone lines now to take some calls from you, the good listeners of 1FM 98.9. Give your take on the general elections for tomorrow and your take on how the campaign was. What were some of the experiences that you had as a voter? The campaign basically ran for about 3 months because Parliament was dissolved on May 10th. And so it basically ran for 3 months. Yes, there was some campaigning before Parliament was dissolved because some parties and some supporters, they basically had an idea or basically predicted that we may have general elections based on the discord that was ongoing in the Team Unity administration. So people, on an easy scale, they were preparing for the elections. But there has been a really tense campaign, or there was a really tense campaign for that 3-month period from mid-May, right up until today. Everybody has been out telling of their plans, detailing their plans to the constituents or to the electorate as to what they want to do, as to what they intend to do for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis should they assume office following the general elections tomorrow. Everybody have been speaking on issues such as healthcare, education, crime reduction, affordable housing, poverty alleviation, fiscal management, and these different areas of the economy as to, what they want to do. I know that there were some manifesto launches by the Labour Party, the People's Action Movement, and the PLP. So these parties have launched their manifestos Some perhaps would be using manifestos from previous elections. But essentially, when you listen to all of the political parties across the board, they have all been saying what they intend to do for the country should they assume office in the next general elections. So I would challenge anybody who say that the politicians ain't saying what they're going to do for the country. I really think it is a matter of us just being ignorant, and we just want to give politicians a hard time without even taking time out to listen to them half the time, because some of us really don't listen, to be frank. We want to give them a hard time and say all of them, they don't have no plans for the country, they don't want to do nothing for the country. Perhaps it may be a case, yes, at times that some of the plans are unrealistic and really you can't get these things done within a 5-year period. And it would have to be a case where they're in government for 10 years or 15 years. But all of the candidates, all of the parties that are contesting the election have detailed, have presented their plans for the country and, have been basically saying what they intend to do. I'll take this break to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll take some calls right here on Voices on Win FM 98.9. Give us your take on how the campaign was for you. What were some of the experiences that you had? How did you feel about the elections? Of course, just coming out of a general elections in 2020. And so there wasn't a healing process. There wasn't a process where people could have said, man, let's relax. The general elections are over. We have about 5 years now. We'll prepare for that in a 5-year time. We're back here again at the polls after 2 years to choose a next government, a new government. What is your take on that? Let's take this break and we will be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Buster, roll it up, need the thirst quencher in my cup. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster put the colors in my life. Refreshing and nice, and I drink that what we like. Buster, you're full of vibes, living for the color, and I'm black and white. We do what we like, we live to enjoy life. Buster, pour it up, different flavor. Load it up, if you have one, hold it up and say, Buster put the colors in my life.
Welcome back to Voices. Let's take our first call for the morning. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, caller, go ahead. I'm hearing you.
Yeah, we're having too much confusion with this election. Yeah. Too many confusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what you say that?
I think, hello.
Yes.
All the things you hear about voting list and this ain't straight, no name coming off, name going on, and I believe after this election we're going in the court. This election will end up in the court.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that election we had some years ago, Johnny Rivera and Dr. Simmons? You remember that? You might be too young to know about that.
Yeah, I don't. But tell me about it. What do you think the outcome of the elections would be? You say we may end up in the court?
End up in court. We hear the argument with his name coming off and name going on. I mean, all these things should be straightened up already. You are cut off the time for name. You get everybody get the list. I mean, no. Look at the last moment. At the last moment, we have this argument.
Okay. Well, we're gonna see what's gonna happen. We know right now there are some legal challenges or legal battles going on right now. Many people are of the view that yes, we may end up in the court after the election, but that is left to be seen. it's going to be, let me use the word interesting. All right?
That's the point I'm trying to get on. Instead of this argument we have on the radio, with name coming off and name going on. After the election finish, then you decide, I've been treated unfairly, I'm going to the court.
All right.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying that what we're doing right now, at the eve of the election, discussing names, coming off a name going on. Because I don't see no difference going to happen.
All right. Well, Carl, thank you for your contribution. We'll take some more calls, all right?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. This is Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. It is 11:43. The phone lines are open at 466-0989, 762-0989, or 662-0989. Let's head back to the phone lines. The caller, good morning. You're on the air. Turn off the radio. Turn off the radio.
I do.
Okay, awesome. You're on the air. Good morning.
Yes. Crunch time. Big day coming.
Are you voting tomorrow?
I don't even know yet. If I vote now, I may drink some Milo. I ain't ready enough for voting. If I'm going to drink Milo yet, I drink.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you vote for. But I'm encouraging you to exercise your franchise. Go and vote tomorrow. All right?
Yeah.
Yes.
This man have to go. Why? So much a thing under his belt. He bringing us like what? Idi Amin, he used to look after his people, them. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and this man pretending he's looking after us. Now there's a report I see this morning about when you go embassy and oh please. What is that? They come every that thing helpful they don't go since April. And the way one of my helpful day. The country too long. Going to be in this back and forth, I miss when in the 30s and in the 40s and the 50s, well, you're just pulling out the ground going. But so far, some man in England is ring a roses thing. Back and forth to so backward telling us things. Oh, we're not going, I used to give 4, I won't give 10. What is that? We want to hear them there because none of that thing going on in record. None of that won't come true. The miss us fooling. All right, we make sure you know them ID, they run like crazy, man. You give them out like hot bread and butter.
Well, I know I've been hearing reports of that. It's just that I don't know if that is the case, and we hope that is not what is happening.
It on my phone like hot bread
Yeah.
and butter.
All right.
My phone is my internet, you know. So
Okay.
anything short out there, if you smile too hard, I get you on my phone right now. Yeah, but so what we want? We want a change of government, and come what Smith Saturday morning, we need a change.
Well, you know, as have you not to cut you off, caller, but as you said that, right? Remember, you can't say we want a change, but you're not going to vote. So whether you want to see a change or you want to see the current person remain, you have to vote. The change does not come by us saying that there needs to be a change. The only how that anybody can effect any sort of change, whether they want to have the Prime Minister remain as Prime Minister or they want him to go, you have to vote.
Well, I went and see last week of my name and they listed my name still there.
Okay.
I thought they put my name to Spanish. I don't even know to talk. I don't even know to talk all bonus in Spanish, but money bonus, but no. Yeah, so what happened? We need to get our priorities straight. We need to clean up. This place won't clean up. And you know all of that for? From nobody went in and put down the foot 2005, 15. You say you're going to do this, do that. See it, go to legislated. Put into auto books. You say in America, what you think America got to do? There was one gentleman was in his 30s or 40s, wanted to over. do it. And they say no. They put a stop to it. And right there they stick up in there, and that's why 2 term and you're out. Nobody gonna tell you by the mouth to term, mouth say anything. And action after. We want him be in the storm while they tell us on Greenland Park. 2 term, and we're gonna nobody put it into to writing. So you can't even go pull it up on you and Google and say, okay, yes, Mr. Sansa said 2 term, look at you. That was just a trick of to get to the government and what I'm hearing now. We need a clean slate and Saturday on the one. Otherwise, please stay in the house, you know. Please stay in the house because we ain't going to take it. We don't want no back and forth. We don't want no money, you know. You could bring $1 million right now, straight down by me, do me no want none.
All right. Well, caller, thank you. Thank you for your contribution. We're going to take some more calls, all right?
Continue about somebody that call in a talk about coke. On this cocaine is one in the bottle. I don't know whether there's somebody got to cut them off. Yeah, Mr. Roger, yesterday on the station got to cut them. I don't know what they put in me. Me don't be dealing with them deal. I on the road party nearly 35 years selling. I never get handcuffed yet. Somebody want to play my mind, but I know the voice. I'll just give them a little lawyer, you know, after election.
All right, caller.
They're washing me up, brother.
All right, well, we'll take care.
I don't smoke. I don't know what to put me in terms.
All right, caller. Well, thank you for your contribution to this program. It's 11:49 here in the studios of 1FM 98.9. The phone lines are open. We're taking your calls at 466-0989. There's a caller, so we'll head back to the phone lines. The caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, everybody out there in Radio Land, and good morning. Is this Mr. Cornelius?
Yes, it is.
It has to be Mr. Cornelius, and interestingly, it's a play on word, it's going to be a pun, but interestingly, you keep using that word.
Interesting.
That I told you is mine. But you know, you're very prudent. You're going far. And if we live, you're going to tell me that diplomacy was at your vanguard, because interesting is safe. You know that, right? It could mean anything. And I'm happy you used it today. Why? Because tomorrow will mark the start of a very perilous void. Interesting. Encompasses all of the possibilities therein. So I am just zeroing in on your online genius. Enough said about that. Very briefly, I just want to say with everything within my being that every single one of us will unanimously agree that in spite of our various political persuasions, we have all been collectively betrayed and debased. You have only to listen to the dialogue, the narrative. They've been collectively betrayed and debased, and you ask me, Mr. Cornelius, or the listening public, by whom? And I answer with unhesitating alacrity, by all those to whom we gave a national mandate. I bought into the concept of unity, heart, mind, and soul. And it is not necessary to flog a dead horse. all of the evidence has already been submitted, and the defendants themselves, every last one of them up there from PAM, PLPC, CCM right now, we, once in 5 years, become their boss, or their bosses. Every last one of them have publicly admitted that in spite of their best efforts, the coalition has failed. It failed in such a ludicrous manner that I remember one American humorist who said, if there was not a penalty for laughter in court, the jury would not hear the evidence. It was a coalition that I would remind you consisted of PLP and CCM. And you know, the mutual recriminations that we are constantly hearing, even up until today, and amending shortly, should make it abundantly clear to the discerning voter. Nobody is a fool. You might think people who are less educated than you can't think. Every discerning voter. I'm not talking about those throttled by blind party alliance that held sway in times past. Every discerning voter should now see that not one of those nefarious three parties are worthy of another chance. Not one of them is exempt from the national fiasco that holds us captive, mandated a return to the polls 3 years before the Constitution or the constitutional duration, rather. But we'll change that tomorrow. Won't we, folks? We are going down. We're going to vote the hand. We're going to vote the hand overwhelmingly, decisively, and purposefully because, well, to send a strong message to them that this chaos that prevails, it is unacceptable.
All right. Well, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to the program. All right.
And I thank you for hearing me.
All right. Take care. All right. Just 5 minutes left before we wrap up the discussions here on Voices in 1FM 98.9. 11:55 right now. Of course, we take a break at 12 for the headline news. And when we come back, we will continue the conversation. We can take just about maybe one more call. Get your take on how the campaign has been and your expectations for tomorrow. Let's take this call. Caller, good morning. You are on the air.
Good morning, Devon.
Good morning, good morning. How are you?
Oh, you're giving God thanks and praise for the nation.
All right. I love that.
Yeah, all the excitement. People don't want, people expect you to forget what happened up to 2015. And people don't change, you know. Now, I have one concern. I've been listening to all the parties. Everybody keeps saying that we might go into a recession. You hear it, right?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if my economics is wrong. But if you expect drought to come, shouldn't you be saving water? I mean, be serious. We're not even out of 2020 corona. And we might go into recession. Maybe we forgot 2009 to 2014, you know. our memory short. Shouldn't we be thinking about setting aside our monies? Everybody making offers, some of them are so ridiculous. Because it makes no sense to say, well, we're going to give you this, give you that, but we might be going into a recession. So what happened when we reach in? All of you who don't want to pick up your Bible, you hear me? Joseph said 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. And he did not say, go home and eat all your corn. He said, put aside 20%. Have we been putting aside even 20% of the CBI funds? And again, this thing about contract. If you don't regard the Nevis Accord as a contract, can anything that anybody else say be considered a contract? A contract has to be signed by both parties. Who signed this one? I mean, really, who signed this contract? Because if the one you sign, you discard, should other people trust you? And all the parties out there promising things, please remember all these promises you're making with a recession in view. People are going to be sorely disappointed. You get my point?
Mm-hmm. I do.
And all of you, you better start to save your money. Start to save something. If they're telling you the CBI facing a threat, the economy facing another threat, and yet we're giving it away. All right then.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, Carter, thank you for your contribution to this program. It is 12 o'clock in the studios of WinFM 98.9. So we're going to have to take this break now for the headline news. And, of course, when we come back, we will continue the conversation for today. So sorry that Mr. DuPont was not able to join us on the program. He was scheduled to join us. Should have been here. So sorry that he was unable to join us. Hoping that he would be able to join us for the second hour. But we'll take this break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Think before you bin it. There can be some use in it. The St. Kitts and Nevis Solid Waste Management, in collaboration with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission and the Department of Environment, presents Let's Recycle. We are encouraging all residential homes, commercial businesses, and schools to bring along your plastic bottles, metal cans, and aluminum cans, ready for an opportunity to win big. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every second and fourth Tuesday each month at the following locations in St. Kitts: the Connery Roundabout, every first and third Tuesday at Buckley's parking lot in front of Best Buy, and the last Saturday of each month in Deep Bay. In Nevis, every second and fourth Friday of each month at Delta Petroleum, Ex-Petrol in Camps, Big Six in Gingerland, and Old Artisan Village in Charlestown. But wait, that's not all. 1 pound equals 1 point. So bring your recyclables and build up your points for a chance to win stainless steel thermal bottle, flatware set, and much more. To learn more about the recycling project, do visit our Facebook page at Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis, or contact us at 465-2372. The choice is yours. Save it or waste it. You are the difference. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Till you walk with a local reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we've got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Delia Walwyn, people you can trust.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With the Win Headline News, I am Kevon Brown.
And I am Devon Cornelius.
Making the headlines.
Political parties express confidence on the eve of August 5th poll.
CARICOM Election Observation Mission to St. Kitts and Nevis general elections. Grenada Prime Minister plays down conflict of interest related to an appointment to the country's CBI board and a new record high infestation of sargassum, a seaweed, in Caribbean waters. Internationally, China has begun its biggest ever military exercises in the seas around Taiwan. It comes after U.S. politician Nancy Pelosi made a brief but controversial visit to Taiwan, which China regards as a breakaway province. Now, the details.
The countdown to the St. Kitts Nevis National Assembly elections officially comes to an end at midnight Thursday, August 4th, when political parties, candidates and supporters are expected to cease campaigning as mandated by law, found in Section 104 of the National Assembly Elections Act. For the past 3 months, political parties have been detailing their plans for the country in areas of health, education, crime reduction, poverty alleviation, and affordable housing. Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris and his People's Labour Party PLP, the youngest party in the arena, remain confident of a victory at the polls on Friday, referencing a projection by regional pollster Donald Anderson of Market Research Services Limited, suggesting a possible win for the PLP. Peter Wickham, another regional pollster, also said a win for PLP is possible, stating that it is more of an election between PLP and the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party SKNLP, excluding the People's Action Movement PAM from the race. PAM immediately slammed Wickham's projection, suggesting inaccuracy against the backdrop of his wrong projections for the general elections in Grenada and St. Lucia. PAM, in a statement, said, quote, "Voters have expressed their satisfaction with the positive style of campaigning that PAM has undertaken as their candidates focus on the programs and policies that will guide their vision for the country." PAM also explained that their confidence in victory is not only influenced by the positive responses and interactions with voters across all 8 constituencies in St. Kitts, but also by credible scientific polling. PAM, which held 4 seats in the last parliament, is still on course to retain those constituencies and will be successful in others. The statement further said, quote, "In examining that pundit's recent tainted record, the inaccuracies in his predictions were glaring, misleading, and seemingly not in tune with the reality that was on the ground in those countries," end quote. The SKNLP, the oldest party in the arena, say they are confident of a win at the polls on Friday, stating that they present the best slate of candidates for the electorate to choose from. On Nevis, Anderson said there may be a shift in the political landscape. He said the Nevis Reformation Party, NRP, is in pole position to take at least 2 of the 3 seats on the island, but local political pundits say NRP may just recapture the Nevis 11 constituency, which is being contested by its leader, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge. The incumbent Concerned Citizens Movement CCM, led by Mark Brantley, says he is confident that the Nevisian electorate will return all 3 seats to his CCM party. The Moral Restoration Movement, MRM, led by Samuel Keynes, has also expressed confidence in winning their seats on Nevis. Polls open on Friday, August 5th at 7 a.m. and close at 6 p.m. There are 34 candidates seeking election representing 6 political parties. There is the United Lyomegan Party, a new party on the scene, represented by John Raskell and G. Jeffers. There is only one independent candidate in the person of Carlton DuPont, contesting constituency number 6.
CARICOM election observers are in the Federation and have issued a statement on their arrival to monitor the August 5th general elections in St. Kitts and Nevis. The statement reads, "In correspondence dated July 26, 2022, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis extended an invitation to the Caribbean community to mount an election observation mission to observe general elections in the country scheduled for August 5th, 2022. In response to the invitation, a 4-member mission has been mounted to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. The CARICOM election observation mission is headed by the Chief of Mission, Mr. Sase Gunraj, Commissioner of the Guyana Elections Commission. Other members of the mission include Mr. Corey Carlisle Greenidge of Barbados, Mr. Cecil Ferdinand Velez, Suriname, and Ms. Rosalind Khan Cummings, Trinidad and Tobago. The mission is supported by Messrs. Johnson Alexander and Alan Donawa of the CARICOM Secretariat. The role of the mission is to observe the electoral process and collect qualitative and quantitative information regarding the voting process and the results to prepare a final report on the general elections of St. Kitts and Nevis. The mission members met virtually with the Governor-General, the Commissioner of Police, and a team from the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party before they arrived in St. Kitts and Nevis on the evening of August 3rd. The mission intends to pay a courtesy call on Dr. Timothy Harris, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, to meet with the Supervisor of Elections and representatives of other contesting political parties. The mission will also meet with other key stakeholders and representatives of civil society groups and attend rallies to obtain an overview of the general atmosphere and level of preparedness for the electoral process. The mission observed the pre-election period and on election day will monitor activities in as many constituencies as possible, including the opening, conduct, and closing of the polls through the tabulation and announcement of results. Following the conclusion of the election day activities on August 5th, a preliminary statement will be issued outlining the mission's initial assessment of the electoral process. The mission will thereafter collaborate in preparing a final report on the election for submission to Her Excellency Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General of CARICOM. The mission is appreciative of the warm welcome which has been extended to the mission by the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, looks forward to the successful conclusion of the electoral process, and issues best wishes to the people of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis as they prepare to go to the polls on Friday, August 5th. People of the Federation head to the polls in less than 24 hours to elect a new government. In regional news, Grenada Prime Minister plays down conflict of interest related to an appointment to the country's CBI board and a new record high infestation of sargassum, a seaweed, in Caribbean waters. Those reports and more from Primetime Caribbean.
Grenada's Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell has shot down conflict of interest concerns over the appointment of a high-profile lawyer there to the Citizenship by Investment Board. Callistra Farrier reports.
The new deputy chairman of the Citizenship by Investment program in Grenada has denied there is any conflict with her being on the board and being involved with a company in an arbitration proceeding against the government following an investment dispute. Lawyer Daisy Andel Joseph downplayed any concerns in a digital interview with me. And at a press conference Wednesday, Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell also said he too was not concerned.
In a small place like Grenada, conflicts of interest are always going to arise. The critical thing is that we manage the conflict of interest. I'm satisfied that should an actual conflict of interest arise, that we are well placed to manage that.
Andel Joseph has confirmed that she's linked to the True Blue Resorts Limited company, which was building the Kimpton Kawana Bay Hotel in Grand Anse. That is now the focus of international arbitration after a fallout with the government. Now a member of the board that would have initially dealt with the CBI applications that eventually helped invest in the project, Andel Joseph said she could deal with the investment fallout while at the same time serving as a member of the new board. Andel told us, and I quote, "Be assured I would not have accepted the appointment if I had any doubt that I could maintain my independence and integrity," unquote. Board Chairman Richard Duncan refused to comment directly on the issue because he said he had to be fully briefed on the affairs of the board. Andel Joseph was bullish on the issue of the arbitration. She told us, and I quote again, "I am seeing it through because I think the wrongs of the past administration need to be addressed," unquote. Her comments will seem to suggest that Joseph Andel might be rooting against the government she now represents on the board in the dispute it is now forced to defend. Today, the new Prime Minister Mitchell downplayed it.
The matter between True Blue Bay and Grenada is in arbitration. If that is a process by which this matter is resolved, then it's arbitrators who are going to make the decision.
The Grenadian leader said he was fully aware of Joseph Andel's connections to the True Blue Bay company, but thinks she can still properly serve on the CBI committee.
The CBI committee's main role is to oversee the Citizenship by Investment program, and specifically to treat with applications by individual persons who are applying for Grenadian citizenship. There are no persons applying through True Blue Bay Development Limited, aka Kawana Bay. And so I'm satisfied that we are in a position to, I'm satisfied that Ms. Daisy Joseph Andel is in a position to adequately carry out her functions.
Prime Minister Mitchell said his greater concern right now is with the state of things with the CBI-funded stalled hotel project. He hinted the government might seek to settle the issue outside of the current arbitration.
The government of Grenada is prepared to consider alternatives to resolving this matter other than via arbitration. Because at the end of the day, what the people of Grenada have been left with by the prior administration is a white elephant standing at perhaps one of the most spectacular locations in Grenada with no end in sight to the hotel being completed and becoming operational.
The two sides reaching a deal is not far-fetched. The developer, Warren Newfield, a one-time ambassador who fell out with the Keith Mitchell administration, is believed to be closer to this one. For the Carib Update News Service, I'm Callistra Farrier for Primetime Caribbean.
The Grenada government has pulled out a long-serving labor relations technocrat who was on pre-retirement leave to act as labor commissioner for the next 3 months. Reginald Lord has been named to the position after long service Labour Commissioner was asked to proceed immediately on retirement. Griffith has been working month to month in recent years. The government says it will advertise the position in the coming period. Lord has worked with the Ministry of Labour for 30 years and has extensive experience and training in labour management with specialised focus in occupational health and safety. An official statement said that as Labour Commissioner, Lord will support the Ministry of Labour in the advancement of priority areas such as the minimum wage agenda and health and safety in the workplace. A record amount of seaweed is smothering Caribbean coasts from Puerto Rico to Barbados as tons of brown algae kill wildlife, choke the tourism industry, and release toxic gases. More than 24 million tons of sargassum blanketed the Atlantic in June, up from 18.8 million tons in May, according to a monthly report published by the University of South Florida's Optical Oceanography Lab that noted a new historical record. July saw no decrease of algae in the Caribbean Sea, said Chumin Hu, an optical oceanography professor who helps produce the reports. Scientists say more research is needed to determine why sargassum levels in the region are reaching new highs. But the United Nations Caribbean Environment Programme says possible factors include a rise in water temperatures as a result of climate change and nitrogen-laden fertilizers and sewage waste fueling algae blooms. Windward Islands Airways International Wind Air is allowed to continue to fly to the Dominican Republic, at least for the time being. One day after St. Martin threatened to ban Dominican Airlines by August 31st, St. Martin's Civil Aviation Authority revealed that it had come to an agreement with its Dominican counterpart, and all flights will continue in the coming months. A civil aviation dispute has threatened to ground flights between St. Martin and the Dominican Republic. Civil aviation authorities in St. Martin had told the Dominican Republic that all flights between the two countries will be cancelled from August 5 after Santo Domingo had banned the Win Air flight. But the St. Martin Minister of Tourism intervened in the dispute. Police in Belize have detained 31 alleged gang members as the authorities declared a state of emergency in an attempt to quell gang warfare in parts of the city. Police said that those detained belong to the PIV and Backlands gangs that have been embroiled in a bitter feud for several years. The authorities said tensions between both gangs led to a spate of shootings. Home Affairs Minister Karim Musa said over the past few days, several young people have lost their lives in a series of shootings. 2 young men have been found dead on a popular beach in Christchurch. Police responded to the scene after the Police Operations Control Room received a telephone call about 11:13. The identities of the two were later confirmed as Loris Malik Rashid Gittins, 22 years, and Michael Keenan Blackett, 27 years. Police from the Southern Division, Oistins Station, responded and are currently conducting investigations. This is Primetime Caribbean.
We now bring you these international reports.
Taiwan's defense ministry says China has fired multiple ballistic missiles during a set of military exercises in the air and the sea encircling Taiwan. Beijing launched the drills in response to a visit by Nancy Pelosi, the most senior US official to go to the self-governed island in 25 years. The exercises are taking place in some of the world's busiest waterways. Taiwan sees itself as independent, but China views it as its own. China's foreign ministry said Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan was a violation of the One China principle and justified its military exercises by blaming the United States for the rising tensions in the region.
China has repeatedly made clear our stern opposition and stressed that we are firmly opposed to Taiwan independent separatist forces and foreign interference, and we will allow no room for any form of Taiwan independence forces. If the U.S. continues down the wrong path, then all consequences shall be borne by the U.S., and do not say that we have not told them in advance. The U.S. first made a malicious provocation, and China has been compelled to act in self-defense. So whatever we have done in response as a countermeasure would be justified and firm and resolute.
Our China correspondent Stephen McDonnell has more from Beijing.
For the last couple of days, China has been amassing large formations of planes and ships all around Taiwan. And now the shooting has started. So these are live fire drills. And in those zones, which have been marked out to the north, to the south, east and west of Taiwan, the PLA has warned commercial ships not to enter, commercial planes not to fly through that airspace. Interestingly, I see that the US Air Force has sent a plane there to go and observe these military drills. This is something the US has done in the past when there have been live fire drills. There's talk that the PLA could consider firing missiles over Taiwan's territory. If that happened, it would be a massive escalation, the likes of which we've not seen. But even already, these are unprecedented scenes. I mean, these zones, if they're all used up, they would involve mainland military exercises moving into Taiwan's territorial waters. And, you know, you just have to wonder if this was all worth it in terms of a visit. I mean, if you're adding up the advantages and disadvantages of having the number 3 leader from the US traveling to Taiwan, certainly a lot of tension, a lot of pressure on that island now. And more concerning, potentially, is that now that the PLA has done this year, does that mean, every year it's going to have a dress rehearsal for a blockade of Taiwan, a dress rehearsal for an attack, an attempt to seize that island and bring it back into the arms of the motherland, as China's foreign minister expresses it? So a lot of questions and certainly a lot of tensions building around Taiwan as we speak.
Stephen McDonnell, our correspondent there in Beijing. Well, Nancy Pelosi is now in South Korea, where she's expressed concern over the increasing threat posed by North Korea. In a joint statement with the South Korean speaker, she said she supported efforts to maintain strong and extended deterrence against Pyongyang. But the South Korean president, who's on holiday, will not meet Ms. Pelosi in person. We'll speak to her by phone instead. Ms. Pelosi is expected to visit the demilitarised zone later today before heading to Japan. Well, let's talk now to Professor Kerry Brown, Director of the Lao China Institute at King's College London and author of She, A Study in Power. Really good to have you with us, Professor. And I wanted to start by asking you about what your take is on these live fire drills by China. According to our correspondent in Beijing, these are unprecedented scenes. How concerned are you that this action will escalate?
Well, extremely concerned. Who can be relaxed about this kind of, issue happening? China is now, kind of a very powerful military power. It doesn't have combat experience, but it certainly has the ability to, move towards this sort of aggression and bullying. And it's given China, I suppose, an opportunity to kind of really have a test at what might be possible. So in that sense, the Pelosi visit was kind of an unwanted opportunity, but an opportunity. And it's one that the Chinese People's Liberation Army and the Navy are taking.
Talk to me a little bit about President Xi Jinping's goals. How central a goal is it to unify Taiwan? And if it is a central goal, under what sort of time frame?
Well, this is a policy, the reunification of Taiwan, that he didn't create. He's inherited it from every leader of the Communist Party and the People's Republic of China back to 1949. This has been a major objective. So he doesn't have any kind of real flexibility on this issue. And for his domestic audience, who are, very, very much wedded to China being a great, powerful country, to have the sort of visit by an American key politician, number 3 in the hierarchy, against all kind of, Beijing demands, is obviously a loss of face. So part of this is about ensuring that the Chinese domestic public do not see their leader as being weak. I don't think that China wants to undertake any kind of final military action. That would be obviously an absolute catastrophe. But they certainly can't be seen as weak. So a lot of the symbolism that we see now is something that is driven by domestic politics, not necessarily from Xi. That's something that Xi is reliant on and has to serve.
Why would it be a catastrophe for China to have conflict with Taiwan?
Because it would completely destroy the key supply chains around one of the world's, well, probably the world's key economic area. It would smash apart global semiconductor supply because Taiwan supplies a lot, I think 55% of the world's semiconductors, which we're so reliant on. It would shatter China's international image, and it would create misery for 23 million people on Taiwan and for people involved in China too. It would be a third world war, basically, because you would have the United States against China. That's what it would involve. And so when you hear politicians and others, talking about this as though it's a confrontation that we must engage in, it's really, we've got to remember the calculations and the risks from this would be absolutely devastating for everyone.
It's interesting, isn't it, that we've almost got to this position that we're in this morning because of Nancy Pelosi playing to a domestic audience and Xi Jinping playing to a domestic audience. From President Xi's point of view, how secure is he, given the Chinese response to COVID? And it too is facing economic challenges, isn't it?
Well, it is not easy to get rid of a central leader in China. I mean, it's not easy to get rid of a central leader anywhere, but in China, I think that he's secure. But, the Communist Party of China is seeking legitimacy, and Taiwan is an issue, being tough on Taiwan, that, they can't, as I say, they don't have much flexibility about. Now, I mean, Pelosi's visit, I completely understand, why America would want to stress solidarity with Taiwan because of the security relationship. I think for the Taiwanese, though, who are caught between this, it's a really mixed blessing. It's good to have America's attention. It's probably crucial to have America's attention. But to be part of a kind of game where Taiwan is just caught between these two superpowers is really, really not comfortable. And the Taiwanese people now, Pelosi was there for 24 hours, she's gone. They're now dealing with the consequences of this. And it must be very uncomfortable to be in Taipei and other cities in Taiwan today when you know about this, kind of escalation happening around you and how missteps could be calamitous. I hope they don't happen, but really, this is not a relaxing situation.
Professor Kerry Brown from King's College London, really, really good to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
The United Nations Secretary General has called on governments to impose windfall taxes on energy companies making what he called scandalously high profits. Antonio Guterres said the money should be used to help the most vulnerable instead. He said that the largest energy companies were guilty of grotesque greed as well as harming the environment.
It is immoral for oil and gas companies to be making record profits from this energy crisis on the back of the poorest people and communities and at a massive cost to the climate. The combined profits of the largest energy companies in the first quarter of this year are close to $100 billion. I urge all governments to tax these excessive profits and use the funds to support the most vulnerable people through these difficult times. And I urge people everywhere to send a clear message to the fossil fuel industry and their financiers that this grotesque greed is punishing the poorest and most vulnerable people while destroying our only common home, the planet.
Antonio Guterres there. Well, let's cross over to New York. Michelle Fleury joins us live now. Michelle, before we actually talk about the call for a windfall tax by the UN, I just wonder, is it normal for the UN to get involved in something like this?
I mean, it's very unusual when you have a head of a body like that attacking US or I should say global oil and gas multinationals. It's fairly unusual, but then so are these times. We're talking about a period when we're seeing really high gas prices. Many people want to know who's to blame for that and what role these companies have played in this. And increasingly the finger is being pointed at these firms who have been accused of taking advantage of the situation, which has seen this sort of energy crisis fueled in part by the war in Ukraine.
And we saw just yesterday BP, the next company to announce record profits. When it comes to what Antonio Guterres is asking for, he's effectively calling for a windfall tax.
So he wants this windfall tax on excessive profits, the idea being that you would take the money and sort of redistribute it, essentially, give it to those who need it most. It's unclear sort of what the reaction will be from governments, but certainly if you look here in the United States, President Biden has been involved in a bit of a back and forth with the big oil majors here in the United States. I think he sort of said that ExxonMobil has made more money than God, and he wants to make clear that every American knows exactly sort of what these profits are. The kind of, if you like, the argument or the criticism these companies have faced is that while they were quick to sort of, when prices, when oil supplies were limited and prices rose, they were quick to pass them on, but as prices come back down, they're not quite so fast to pass that gain, if you like, that benefit to consumers. And that's where these accusations come in, that they are taking advantage of the situation and making excess profits and not ramping up production when they could, given that there is now sort of a better profit margin available to these firms, which would indeed sort of help ease some of the kind of pain that people are feeling at the pump right now.
And Michelle, when we hear of these absolutely huge figures, the companies, the energy companies are saying that, they go through a difficult time a while back, and this is now obviously a better time for them, but they're just doing their job and it's up to governments to govern this. I guess, is the conversation changing now around who has the responsibility to kind of alleviate the people that are effectively going to be choosing between heating or eating?
I think there's little sign of that at the moment, and certainly, going back to what's happening here in the United States, if you look at the back and forth between President Biden and the oil companies, they've pushed back and said, well, hang on a second, issue more leases for us to give us more drilling permits and we drill more. The truth of the matter is that prior to this energy crisis, a lot of companies, energy companies, particularly in the shale space, went bankrupt. Now it is economical at these prices for them to be producing more. So it goes to this idea of who is to blame for the high prices. And right now, increasingly, people are saying, as we're seeing today from the UN, look, it's immoral to be sitting on these record profits and not trying to do something with it. And I guess the idea being that if the executives won't do something, then you're seeing this call from the UN to get governments to do something instead, and that is in the form of windfall taxes.
Fascinating to see the UN get involved. Michelle Fleury, as always, many thanks for talking us through this.
You were listening to the WinFM Headline News on 98.9. Our top stories were:
political parties express confidence on the eve of August 5th poll.
CARICOM election observation mission to St. Kitts and Nevis general elections. Grenada Prime Minister plays down conflict of interest related to an appointment to the country's CBI board, and a new record high infestation of sargassum seaweed in Caribbean waters. Internationally, China has begun its biggest ever military exercises in the seas around Taiwan. It comes after U.S. politician Nancy Pelosi made a brief but controversial visit to Taiwan, which China regards as a breakaway province. Thank you for listening.
That was the WinFM Headline News. The Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
protects your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Till you walk with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we've got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Think before you bin it. There can be some use in it. The Nevis Solid Waste Management Authority, in collaboration with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission and the Department of Environment, presents Let's Recycle. We're encouraging all residential homes, commercial businesses, and schools to bring along your plastic bottles, metal cans, and aluminum cans ready for an opportunity to win big. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the following locations: in Nevis, every second and fourth Friday of each month at Delta Petroleum, ex-Petrol in Camps, Big Six in Gingerland, and the Old Artisan Village in Charlestown. In St. Kitts, every second and fourth Tuesday at the Connery Roundabout, every first and third Tuesday at Buckley's parking lot in front of Best Buy, and the last Saturday of each month in Dieppe Bay. But wait, that's not all. 1 pound equals 1 point. So bring your recyclables and build up your points for a chance to win stainless steel thermal bottles, flatware, and much more. To learn more about the recycling project, do visit our Facebook page at Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis, or contact us at 465-2372. The choice is yours. Save it or waste it. You are the difference. So think smart. Take PAT, reduce, reuse, recycle.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king. Please drink responsibly.
Found the sound 98.9 FM.
Hustlers Value Mart IG Value Club Blue Tag Specials from July 28th through August 10th. Nature Valley Protein Bars, $14.99. Essential Everyday Croutons, just $5.99. Almond Breeze Almond Milk, $8.99. No side dishes, $7.99. Essential Everyday Steamable Vegetables, $6.99 each. Stone Ridge Ice Cream Bars, $15.99. And now, our very low weekly value deals. Malta Meal Cereals, just $13.99 each. Tide Liquid Detergent, $36.99. Sunny Delight Smooth and Tangy, $5.99. Ed Shaving Gel, $13.99. Essential Everyday Shredded and Chunk Cheeses, $7.99. And Essential Everyday Pasta, just $4.49. Shop smart, shop Value Mart. Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí a Value Mart.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Welcome back to Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. We'll head back to the phone lines. We'll take some calls. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. It is 12:45 here in the studio. Win FM 98.9. This is Voices. The phone lines are open at 466-0989 or 762-0989. Let's take this caller. Caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Good day, Devon.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. All set for tomorrow?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you are. Great. Any predictions you want to share with the audience?
Well, I think it's hard for me to really predict this one. I realize a lot of people on the ground have been saying that this is more of a race between PLP and the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. For me, I think it's a race between all of the parties, because you have the Labour Party and the PAM Party that are the traditional parties on the ground. So most naturally, they are the ones who are going to get that base support from their base supporters. It is now for those parties to go out and get additional support. The PLP now, they would have to get a base. They would have to get additional people to support them. But for me, I don't want to discount anybody here on St. Kitts from the election. As it relates to Nevis, I think it's a race mostly between NRP and CCM. The more restoration movement, new on the scene, don't really have much traction. So it's really between NRP and CCM. Listening to some of the people on the ground, they have been predicting CCM may get 2, NRP may get 1, or NRP get 2, CCM get 1. But it is going to be interesting. I can't say definitively what it will be, but this is going to be a stiff race between all the parties.
I honestly don't know either. And actually, which is a bit surprising in the sense that you would think it would be a clear-cut case for, well, certainly in St. Kitts, for the opposition to win, for the Labour Party to win, right, hands down, because of all the nonsense that happened. The other parties basically disqualified each other, okay? But, at the same time, the electorate has changed so much that, one becomes apprehensive and not sure what the electorate would do. Okay, you could end up with a landslide for the party,
right?
Or you could end up with a close race, and that's why I think it doesn't seem as if any pollsters want to predict anything this time.
What I can say to that is the party that will win the election on St. Kitts and on Nevis is the party that has the best strategy on the day of the election. So the campaign that happened for the 3 months, that was good. All the entertainment, that was good for all the parties. But if on election day you can't find your people, you can't mobilize people, then that's it for you.
Well, I suppose that is the case in every election. The thing, though, is I think this election is different. It's not an ordinary election. because as you know, we really should not have been here, right?
Right, that's
and
true.
I would imagine that most people would not want to be here again anytime soon, and so
That's
they would
fair.
vote accordingly.
Right.
Although I don't know what will happen, I know what I would like to. What I'd like to happen. What the outcome I think would be best. And in my estimation, it's a clear mandate for a party in St. Kitts and a clear mandate for one in Nevis. Because you see, if we are to resolve the issues plaguing us, it is going to take some serious, hard-nosed negotiations between both islands, okay? And it's better that we have leaders who can say definitively that they have the trust and confidence of the people they represent. And what are the issues? I mean, there are, of course, the things that need to be fixed, like our health care, the social safety net, the unemployment issue, right? The things that but then there are also things like the revenue sharing, the CBI, and the governance issues. Okay, these are the things. These latter two are the things that really precipitated the current crisis. Okay, because there's no real daylight in between the parties when it comes to the issues like health care and the social safety net. All of them agree that they need fixing, and they all acknowledge that some kind of reform to these programs like STEP and PAP and Peace Initiative, all of them say that it needs fixing without exception. Okay?
Right.
The question for the electorate, though, is who can they trust to deliver, right? Who can they place their confidence in? And in answering that question, they must ask, why are we here 3 years before elections are due? And the answer is simple. The government of the past 7 years failed to deliver. I mean, they said so themselves. Okay, they describe themselves as dysfunctional, greedy, and corrupt, and unable to trust each other or to work together to deliver the change they promised. Well, if they don't trust each other, why should we trust them? If they failed by their own admission, why should we reward their failure by giving them another chance at this? Okay? They made so much money, and instead of prioritizing and making the investment to ensure long-term development and stability and sustainability, they went on a spending spree. When we have upward of 6,000-7,000 on families on some kind of government program, okay, that does not bode well for our country, right? So, and instead of offering more visionary policies, they seem to be promising more of the same, at least the incumbent government, more of the same. And I suggest, since we are here because of, the really vexing constitutional issues, for example, the powers of the Prime Minister, things that, we should not be having the kind of court cases for electoral lists and those kind of things on the eve of an election, because they didn't fix the electoral reform. They didn't have a fix for the electoral problems that we have. Okay? Right? And so, since they were unable to fix it, I think the incumbents should all get out of the way and let fresh people try to deal with them. Okay?
There is something. There is something that I wanted to add before you go, right? I've been talking to different party supporters on the ground, St. Kitts and Nevis, right? And let me start with here on St. Kitts, since you're on St. Kitts. So, I've been talking to some supporters. I don't want to say Labour or PAM, but for I've been talking to people who do not support the PLP and Dr. Timothy Harris as Prime Minister. And they lay out all the reasons as to why they will not support Dr. Harris. They will not vote for PLP in the upcoming election. And they believe that he should not return as Prime Minister, etc., etc., etc. When we get to that final part of the conversation, they end by saying that they're not going to vote. And I say, well, if you do not want Dr. Harris to return as Prime Minister, if you do not want PLP to return as Prime Minister, you do not voting, that ain't help the situation. Likewise, I've been talking to other people who are supporters of Prime Minister Harris, but they just tell themselves, well, they have the view that he's going to win, so they're not going to vote. The argument or the point that I'm trying to make here, whether you want to see the Prime Minister remain or you want to see the Prime Minister ousted or removed as Prime Minister, the only way that can happen is voting. So we can always say, well, I want Harris to remain as Prime Minister, or I want Harris to go as Prime Minister. I want this to happen. I want that to happen. If you don't cast your vote, then there is nothing that can happen.
Exactly.
Whether it is in favor of him or in favor or against him.
Right. That's the least any patriotic citizen can do. Cast a vote. The one time when you have a say in the system and you're going to opt out of it, that don't make sense, right? And it's surprising that you'd find people who say that they believe Harris is going to win, because from looking at what has happened, I mean, he looks as if he's been decimated, right? I mean, people who you would not normally expect to comment on his leadership and so on, they have made no bones about what they think of him. You know, that was really surprising. And so he for all intents and purposes, he looks gone to me, right? The other parties don't want to work with him, okay? And I think he is out of there, really. And remember, we don't want to have another election in a few months, because if there's some other correlation, like, well, we've seen what has happened to this one, but the PAM-CCM coalition that is being touted, there are problems on the horizon there as well, and similar problems, similar trust issues, because you know what the leaders of both of those parties have well, one said one should be fired, and the other one basically wanted somebody else in the PAM party to be Prime Minister and not Sean Richards. So that itself is setting up tensions for another failure, and we can't afford that. Okay? So, well, I guess that leaves the opposition Labour Party, and that's what oppositions are for, to provide an alternative.
Well, I do understand what you're saying, and I really do believe that it's going to be an interesting race. Many of the people who, as I said, we took some time out of our schedule to go on the streets of Bastia, talking with different people, and many people take the position that it is the Labour Party that is at a good position, in the sense that everybody is looking at those that were in the Team Unity Coalition, the PAM, the CCM, the PLP, and everybody is of the view, they are of the view, that, well, they were all there, they all misled us, they all did whatever.
Right, of course, it was no one person. I mean, yes, they like to blame Harris for everything, but, you know, they stood by and let those things happen. But how do you interpret, though, this thing where some people are opting out? Do you feel that we'll have a low voter turnout? Because of, are there many people you think like that?
I really do. I really, really do. Because I tell you, I think it was Tuesday night, I was having a conversation with a gentleman, and man, he was really, really passionate about the politics, and saying that he does not support any of the Labour parties, PLP or Labour or the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. And then he ended by saying he ain't voting. So I really won't be surprised.
You see, the thing is,
I won't be surprised.
Knowing that this election is different from the others, you would think that everybody would want to have a say, you know, but apparently not.
What we have is that the local people on the island, it is perhaps a case that they're just They're just tired of the voting. I don't know why.
Yeah, fatigue, voter fatigue.
Yeah, and
I would
for
have thought
some,
it would
I
be
could
more
understand.
so in Nevis, though, because they have another election to deal with soon.
That is true.
Right?
That is true.
You know, but how do you think they're looking at it? I've seen posts that say that this is a St. Kitts thing. They say it had nothing to do with Nevis. Do you think that most divisions look at it like that, or they see it as really pivotal to Nevis, what happens in Nevis as well?
I really think that the majority of Nevisians think that the general elections or the National Assembly elections is St. Kitts elections. Let me say, and I don't have any scientific study to prove this, but I would go out on a limb and say 3 in every 5 Nevisian would tell you that they ain't voting in the federal elections because it is an election for St. Kitts.
But then how do they expect to get what they call a fair share then?
I really don't know.
If they feel that it's just a St. Kitts thing.
I really don't know.
you know, that's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, it's like a lottery, right? You got to be in it to win it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to participate in order to get the sort of changes that you want.
Right.
I mean, if you feel everything is, and that's the whole point. If you really feel everything is fine with our governance, with how things are going, by all means, you vote the incumbents. But I doubt you'll find many people who feel that St. Kitts and Nevis are in a state where, that things are going as they should. Too many things have happened. They've released too many things about what was going on in there for people to think that this was a functioning, well-oiled machine. Okay? We've been lucky in that we've had the CBI, but only St. Kitts, apparently only St. Kitts have had the lion's share of that. Okay? And so Nevis has every right to kick up for more of their share, for more of that. Okay?
Right.
But, we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yes.
Really interesting.
All right. You take care.
Okay, then.
All right. This is Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining the program. It's 1 minute past the hour of 1 o'clock in the studio. We'll take a short break to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll keep the program going. Let's take this break. We'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Portsmouth's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less and save more. How, you ask? Essential Everyday and Equiline. Spend less on our Essential Everyday products and get the best quality, the best taste, and the best value. Spend less for all your family health and beauty needs with the Equiline brand of over-the-counter products. Portsmouth's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less. With our Essential Everyday products and Equiline over-the-counter health and beauty care products. Shop smart and spend less at Value Mart, where price matters most.
Welcome back to Voices. Let's head back to the phone lines. Caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, man. I'm enjoying my day. I'm encouraging everybody, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Drink your water. You must drink your water, mind your business. Drink your water and pray. Good afternoon, Mr. McMahon. Good afternoon, Journey. Good afternoon, Kalanje. You know, some people hope that the Labour win by default, you know. In 2010, they had 7. 2015, they went to 3. 2020, they went to 2. You see the decline?
Mm-hmm.
Then the great love of the Labour Party, their history has been painful. And no amount of polishing it can help. People suffered great personal loss, financial loss. I hear some of them nowadays try, the land for debt swap was a good thing. You bankrupt the country and then talking about it was a good thing? I mean, imagine that you take up you as a good citizen and you've gone by treasury bills that you hope to mature in 90 days. They come tell you, 180 days or 360 days. You go and you buy bonds. For those who don't know, a bond is a loan, eh? For people who don't know what a bond is. You lend the government your money, you get a higher rate of interest, eh? And lo and behold, they tell you, look, you either take half or you wait 45 years to collect your money. 45 years? These were not children, you know. You understand the man?
I do. I'm following you.
45 years. And you know what hurt me? What hurt me? Because, I excuse Mr. McMahon because he wasn't working in the system. We go to the sugar factory, the sugar industry. Mr. Cornelius, they were making, and Mr. Harris in it too, they were making $30 million loss a year. And they were up in the factory popping champagne.
So do you
and
think?
I have to be talking out, you know.
Mm-hmm. So do you think
You
that?
understand?
Do you think that that these issues would significantly harm the Labour Party going forward? In the elections for tomorrow.
Because people are still suffering. You know, at one point, right, they cut the civil service the other night, you know. Over 300 persons were sent into retirement. Some of them died. Because, some people's children go university late, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So people who had things like mortgages that they hope to pay for, because they allow some people to stay on. The IMF say 50 and 55 go home. Send them home, right? So they send home not the people, because who was sending home people was already over 55. Civil servants for 3 years did not get neither an increment or promotion. You could imagine? And talking about there were over 5,000 persons put on the PEP. And they put people to work in the private sector to work for the same pay. So nothing Mr. McMahon could say or Dr. Joe could say could ease the pain, and they have not apologized. Some people got the nerve. The Labour, they bankrupt the country. That's why I encourage people, read the IMF report. The IMF said 70% of the government debt, which was with treasury bills, they were on the National Bank. National Bank lost $47 million. Mr. McMahon, read the bank account. $30 million was lost by Social Security. The same Social Security, Let me get to this pension thing that everybody's talking about.
But quickly, because we want to take some more callers, all right?
I'm going quickly, because some of them think people are stupid. The people who are talking about being, in fact, the act was passed The Act said, in the present system, once you're appointed, you put on the government pensionable scheme, and you do not contribute. Now, see that the Social Security was facing things with the falling birth rate and the increasing number of old age people. It was recommended that the government now begin to make people make a contribution, 3% by the government, 3% by the people. Nothing was done. They now come in and offering people, not even telling them the details, you know. And it is only those who are in the government service who are going to be appointed. You know, so Labour hope to win by default. Now, if you win by default, you have a trouble ruling, you know. You have trouble ruling, and up to now, the matter with Nevis Shea has not been addressed by Dr. Drew. Well, Dr. Douglas doesn't say the money is saying it's money. Dr. Harris said the same thing. What has Dr. Drew to say? What is Nevis to expect? And don't come tell me, we got to get it in the law. What is Nevis, NRP, CCM, what are Nevisians to expect from Labour if they happen to win in terms of their fair share? Because as far as they're concerned, the CBI money is saying it's money. So I want to know which division going to support any party that is going to put Nevis at the bottom of the thing.
All right.
So personally for me, you know,
I
believe God has put any in. The Bible says God put up, God take down. So whoever in, it don't bother me. But it is pure deception, trying to wash off a party that caused the country so much pain and shame. Oh, you know, it's the best thing. Can't be the best thing. You could win by default. If you got 3 set of people and you start to share up 1, 2, 3, they might get the one over. But if they get in, they're not going to be appreciated because they have caused people pain.
All right, we call it. Thank you. We want to take some more calls. All right.
All right then.
Yes. All right. Thank you for your contribution to this program. It's 11 minutes past the hour of 11 here in the studios of 1FM 98.9. This is Voices for today, Thursday, August 4, 2022, the day before the general elections. Let's head back to the phone lines to take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You are on the air.
Yes, and I promise you that my closing argument, everybody making their closing argument, the evidence is already in. Almost everybody right now have made up their mind. And so I'm going to be more brief than my predecessor. And to Dr. Jeffrey Henley, to you we say, as God said of Jesus, I've glorified you before, and I'm going to glorify you again. It's manifest destiny, not by default, as some would say. Constituency number 2, I said to Master Henderson, this is the age of the Renaissance woman. And we are placing you right on the cutting edge to hold aloft the standard of excellence, one, but also to vindicate the indignity that your predecessor suffered at the hand of a lesser. We're going to correct that. Constituency number 3, Congress Maynard. I personally felt your frustrations and the pain of the victor wanting to do so much with the funds held by malicious political opponents will free you. To emancipate many tomorrow, a feat that is certain to benefit unborn generations to follow. To constituency number 4, Mr. Samuel Duggins, your opponent is hobbled by baggage galore, right down to court convictions and charges of theft and malfeasance, still waiting to be heard. But, on the contrary, UNESCO has listed you as the most progressive youth in the world, and you have distinguished yourself in the areas of both entertainment, scholarships, sports, and a hands-on innovative agricultural approach for everything great and grand is just as difficult to realize. Somebody said, as it is hard to find, thank God that we found you. We are going to free you to your greatest potential, and you take us with us, and you take us with you. To constituency number 5, Mr. Kenny Douglas, your formidable reputation precedes you. Fear not. The battle is not yours, but the Lord's. Your track record, particularly along the area of sports, with so many youths, and the young one make a difference. It will surface in time to waft you on to victory. We are taking it down. And to Dr. Denzel Douglas, you know he's the most experienced and longest reigning politician in our federation. So much so that he has become within himself an institution. I thank God personally every day after the breakdown of unity that we'll have the best, and I repeat, the best of this vast storehouse of not only knowledge of how government works, but also experience from which to draw from. Against him, we have no equal. And to Nata Nelson, I am saying to you, you have beaten the system before against seemingly insurmountable odds. You're up against a giant, though, and a deceiver of the world. Well, I want to let you know that he's neither invincible nor unshakable as he looks. Stand firm and unshakable. Evil, I would remind you, constitutes the seeds of its own destruction, and destiny has placed the fate of an imposter in your hand. So fight. So fight that after the struggle, neither this man nor his party can stand. I have one more, and please don't deny me, Dr. Drew. And it's very, very, very short, because he's in my constituency.
Yes, quickly, go ahead.
We love you. Thanks for not giving up on us. Resistance breaks down. Resistance breaks down opposition. We are sending you to 3rd Street tomorrow. May God guide. May God guide, direct, and protect your every action and step as you continue to stand. I thank you so much for listening to me throughout, and I'm sorry if I took up so much of your valuable time. I thought it was necessary. Encouragement sweetens labor, and they work so hard on behalf of all of us. Thank you again, Mr. Cornelius. May God richly bless you too as you continue doing his holy work.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. Let's take this break, and we will be right back. Are solely those of the participant or caller and do not reflect the views of 1FM 98. The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the participant or caller and do not reflect the views of 1FM 98.9. 1FM reserves the right to disconnect any caller who infringes the law or offends the right of any person. The station will also refuse to take any call from any person who, in 1FM's considered opinion, is likely to expose the station to liability for statements made on the air.
Here are your Horseless Value Mart IG Value Club Bill Tag Specials from July 28th through August 10th. Nature Valley Protein Bars, $14.99. Essential Everyday Croutons, just $5.99. Almond Breeze Almond Milk, $8.99. No side dishes, $7.99. Essential Everyday Steamable Vegetables, $6.99 each. Stone Ridge Ice Cream Bars, $15.99. And now, our very low weekly value deals. Malta Meal Cereals, just $13.99 each. Tide Liquid Detergent, $36.99. Sunny Delight Smooth and Tangy, $5.99. Ed Shaving Gel, $13.99. Essential Everyday Shredded and Chunk Cheeses, $7.99. and essential everyday pasta just $4.49. Shop smart, shop Value Mart. Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí a Value Mart.
Welcome back to Voices. We're heading back to the phone lines. We'll take some more calls. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm blessed.
Wait, you have to turn off your radio. I'm hearing some feedback and it's disturbing the call.
By the Almighty. And I'd like to ask a question. Why is it when some people call in onto your station, you are like to engage them in whatever they are saying, and you have people want to call in, and the line is being held up. When you get in a chance, you go on busy and all other things. I think you're supposed to limit people when they call in. That majority of people call in.
Right. Well. Before you continue, what are you trying to suggest? It is.
And you was engaging him in something that he was saying.
Caller, it is simple. The phone lines are open. You continue to call until you get in. There is no attempt whatsoever from my end being made to restrict any particular caller. You call, you lend your contribution. It is as simple as that.
Okay, thank you very much. But what I'm going to say is, I am thankful for we having a team unity government, and I'm thankful for the 4 double salary that I got from on the team labor and the unity government. It's unlucky that I didn't get my household fixed, and others get their household fixed, and they'll have to go to the bank and get some money to put on galvanized gavel loom on the roofing. And I'm going to say this, and who wants to mess with me, that can mess with me. People shouldn't be ungrateful to the present Prime Minister at this moment. He did what he had to do to help the poor people, because that's what Sir Robert Llewellyn Blatter used to do. Help the poor people. Help the poor people that come out of their struggles. And I want to say the Almighty God is looking down on us, and he's going to put him back in office to go back down to Church Street.
How do you feel about the campaign?
Asking the Lord, and the Lord sending my answer to me and letting me know.
Well, Carla, I was asking, how do you feel about the campaign over the past 3 months with the different parties and so on?
The campaign is going on. I'm not happy with certain remarks of certain people, because a lot of people know me, and I cannot get to walk in the street for certain people, because they're all trying on the word on me, but I don't take them on. Because I know better. They could talk, but they cannot touch me. And I was one person, I don't work and beg nobody for nothing. I work, I have an account in the bank, and I take off what I want to feed myself. I'm not going to beg nobody for nobody to throw a word on me. And that is all I have to say. Ungratefulness is worse than witchcraft, and that is what's happening in this Federation of St. Kitts. You have a good afternoon.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. It is 1:24, just a few minutes left before we close off today's edition of Voices. Thank you so much for your contribution. Let's head back to the phone lines. We'll take some more callers. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Oh, good afternoon. I would like to say quickly, your last caller, he needs to bear in mind that what he just said, many people will not agree with him. All right? They will not agree with him. Now, you as the host of the program, it is within your jurisdiction to decide whether to engage a caller or not.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do it to be, what should I say, troublesome or whatever. Sometimes clarity is needed. Additional information is needed. And you have to ask a question to clear up certain things. So instead of wasting time and belly aching about, who's staying long on the line and who not getting in and so on, go right into what you're saying, because it doesn't sound good. You talk about the host engaging, asking them questions, but you realize he just asked your question and you responded to? He responded. Say what you have to say, because the same way you could say that people should not be ungrateful to Dr. Harris. There are many people who will tell you that Dr. Harris is ungrateful to many people. The same way persons will say that people should not be ungrateful to Dr. Douglas. The same way people would say that people should not be ungrateful to Dr. Kennedy Simmons. Just state your point. You can't speak for everybody. You must know what you're grateful for. And if people are ungrateful, they must know what they're ungrateful for. You must know why you're voting for them. Others may know, they know why they're not voting for them. Because there are people who will tell you they will never vote for PAM. They will never vote for Labour.
Yeah.
They will never vote for this. They will never vote for that. And they have their reasons.
Yeah. Well, caller,
Leave
if
people
I could,
alone. Just state what you have to say.
yeah, if I
Because
could,
what we have here is not the best neither.
yeah, but if I could add this, maybe you want to listen off the line. That's your take. But if I could add this before we end the program, right? We are not going to always agree on the politics. We're not always going to have the same view and opinion. And so you're going to have some callers that are going to take the position that the host, whether it is myself or another host, always want to facilitate a particular caller or this or whatever. Right? We are all going to have different views, different opinions. You're going to have callers who are going to support Labour. You're going to have callers who are going to support PAM. You're going to have callers who are going to support NRP, CCM, PLP, whoever. You're going to have callers who don't support any of the political parties, but they just want to lend their contribution to the discussion. There are some people that are of the view that if you do not align with who they align with, you're biased, you're stupid, you're this, you're that, it's absolute rubbish. I would not go as far as to say that anybody is being ungrateful, because some may take that route and say, well, yes, people are being ungrateful. Others may not view it as that. At the end of the day, what we have to realize is that people have choices. And if they decide they want to vote for Labour, then they vote for Labour. If they decide they want to vote for PLP or PAM or NRP or CCM, you vote for who you want. I am not going to come here and vex up myself and make any enemy and chastise anybody for who they wish to support, or suggest or say that anybody is ungrateful. Absolute rubbish. We need to learn how to respect other people's views and opinions. And we believe that it is because we say so, it is right. I pray for peace in this country tomorrow. Go out and vote. I don't care who you vote for. Go out and vote. If you believe that Dr. Harris has performed, then vote for Dr. Harris. If you believe that it is time for a change, then vote against Dr. Harris. It is the same on Nevis. If you believe that the CCM failed, then vote against them. If you believe that it is time for a change, you vote against them. If you believe that they have done well, you vote for them. It is as simple as that. The back and forth and who is this and who is that is unnecessary. Because after the election, we are still one people. After the election, while we fall out with each other, the politicians are still friends. They are still laughing. They're still knocking glass. They're still talking to each other. Meanwhile, we are tearing down and pulling down and starting confusion with each other. In the name of what? And this is something that I am very passionate about. I ain't gonna get into no confusion and no back and forth with nobody over who you want to vote for. That's your business. It ain't really job to me. And I'm gonna be real and frank. I don't care. I really don't. You vote for who you want to vote for. But what I will not do or even tolerate is anybody trying to insult anybody's intelligence or trying to suggest that because this person wants to vote for John Doe or this person wants to vote for Mary Jane, they're wrong and they don't know nothing. I take the position that the people who are voting have made up their minds and they have said, well, I think that this is the best decision for the country. I think that this is the best direction or the best set of people to govern the country. That is their right to choose who they want. So my advice to all of you listening to this program today, show up to the polls tomorrow and vote for who you want. If you believe that the party or the candidate that you're voting for has what it takes to take the country forward, then who am I to tell you don't vote for them? Who am I to don't do that? I don't think that's my place. This is the end of Voices right here on 1FM 98.94 today. Thank you so much for your calls, your contribution, and I am really happy that we got some callers, from different backgrounds. Everybody sharing their views, their opinions, and the outcome of the elections tomorrow, how the campaign has been going. The polls open tomorrow at 7. The people of St. Kitts and Nevis who are duly registered, they will decide. They will decide. Remember, we don't choose a prime minister, we choose representatives who then choose the prime minister. I'm Devon Cornelius. You guys take care. And I pray for peace in the country. Peace in the country.
Mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold.
Hold on, stop. Think about the drink before you